Yo, what's good, people? Happy Friday to you. It is Feedback Friday. It is Feedback Friday. Hope you woke up feeling inspired. Maybe you have something tasty in the queue already. If not, get it posted to the public feedback queue over on the Discord. I also posted this month's free sound pack. You can find that in subscriber rewards. Every month subscribers get a free pack. This month they get liquid air. Liquid air is pretty cool. Some neat little water sounds. I'll just pull that up in the Finder here in a minute. Let you guys hear a couple things. But most of our stream will just be feedback. And we'll get started on that shortly. Crackles have tamed a lot, I've noticed. And the Streamlabs thing was actually legit. They are sending me stuff claiming that I've been named some kind of all-star streamer for them, which I find highly suspect, but whatever. They're sending me hoodies and stuff, so maybe they'll be comfy. Hey, what's up, Javar? How you doing, homie? Really good having you on the show again the other day. Big ups to Tremties for winning the monthly challenge. Our monthly challenge will be held on April 1st this time around. Liquid air are the sounds that y'all are playing with. Whatever you're inspired to make. Get another free sound pack. Have a bunch of fun listening to what everybody else made. Maybe there's a spy in the ranks. They're like, yo, he's going to OBS. Oh, goodness. Hey, Blackberry Jam Studios. Welcome in, brother. How are you? Yes. Hold on, April 1st. Wink, wink. The Procrastinators Club. I want to be in the Procrastinators Club. All right, I'm going to click over to the Discord really quick and see if anyone is posting stuff yet. Ah, excellent. I've already got a couple in. Most wonderful. Just turning off my notifications and stuff here, because I failed to do so earlier. All right, then. Okay, so these actually look like they were posted a couple days ago. Are you guys even here? Z and Dashiki. Oh, Blackberry, I'm so sorry. I'm already a member of the club. We've tried to meet April 1st for the last 35 years, but no one ever shows up. Damn it. Man, seems like a really exclusive club, too. Mark Camp Music, anything. You drop anything, or comfortable reviewing it for you, helping you out technically, creatively. Community here is pretty darn diverse. And ears have been used in a professional capacity for many, many years, so bound to be of some help. $10 million a year, but the treasurer never collects. This reminds me of like the rules and stories you make up on the playground as a kid. Oh. Shafar. Oh. Yeah, I've been dealing with a couple of woes with the Monterey upgrade. But hey, what are you gonna do? I waited as long as I could. I don't even think these guys are here right now. So we can play for a bit until people come in interested in feedback. I was given a rush order. All your MIDI surfaces are borked. Oh, that sucks. Dude, I'm sorry, homie. That's rough. Well, astronauts typing. You see that? We can like creep on people as they type, drop their tracks in here. Welcome in, astronaut. That's you? Excellent. Yeah. You know, it's so weird. Wow, what just happened there? That was weird. Oh, there must be some automation in there. Yes, there is. Let's just bring that all down. I was about to say, oh yeah, that was oddly one of the things that I appreciated the most after leaving Apple for so many years ago. Not having to upgrade constantly to all the latest versions of everything, and then waiting for things to become compatible again. That's a vicious cycle. Oh, Cubase is getting into some more clever markers, huh? Huh. VST2 plugins are no longer supported. Huh. Interesting. All right, well, hey, let's dip into the first bit of feedback here. And then we'll see where we go. Oh, I don't even have my dock up. Hold on just a sec. Okay, so all right. Away we go. This is brilliant. There's a lot of things to like about this. I really like the little stops. I love the change ups. Just the sound overall is really well grounded. The bass is nice and full. The kick is a really solid choice. Right out the gates, the metal tap, the hat that you have on the sides, I think it's maybe just a little bit hot. And before you actually bring it down, I would go through this entire mix and either remove compression on everything or do a fresh volume mix, maybe both, to get a little bit better separation between the individual elements in volume. I feel like you've done a really good job placing stuff out around the stereo spectrum, and then things have been kind of squished together. So I feel like there's been perhaps a little loss in dynamics, like just through compression. So I feel the palette, the collection of sounds that you're working with is really, really solid, and they don't need to be managed very much to work well together. So you really don't have to do much to make any of them stand out. So increasing loudness through compression through most of these things isn't probably the best choice. Subtle saturation would probably be better. And I think it would leave you with an even more full feeling. This is a really, it's got a really good, healthy vibe to it. Yeah, super, super close on this one. 30 seconds in, with all these other reversals, I'm kind of surprised I didn't hear one in that exact transition there. 108. For some added depth, you could always play with how one layer is being delivered in here. I put washed out in here, but it really could be anything. It could be like a little delay tail or something like that, just to move the listener's kind of focus at that point, right? I really think these little stops are making the track more infectious as we get deeper into it at this point. I already mentioned this, but it's a bit loud. I think the compression is just a bit much for the mix. Really great choices in here. There's a really nice change up at 226. The ARP that you selected, like the style of your ARP, is great. Yeah, pretty much already said this. Greater separation and volume between elements throughout the track. It'll help give you a better dynamic range flux overall, which in turn will make it even more immersive. And I think a couple of long form filter modulations, something that can run for like over a minute in the mix, right? And if you've got a couple of these going, these kind of long form modulations happening simultaneously, they're operating on different parameters on different layers, then the entire mix all of a sudden starts to change in really cool ways. In so much of the magic in a tiny, subtle little maneuver like that is about the evolution of like timbre, texture, and frequencies commingling to kind of, you know, highlight new harmonics and stuff. So stuff like that just really pushes a track like this over the edge, I think. It's just ripe for the whole acid vibe in general. So that's what I got for you on this one. Yeah, you bet. You bet. Paintball, welcome in. Indremia, welcome in. Who else came in while I was going on and on? Central One is here. How you doing, dude? They only support VST3 loincloths. Oh, man. Okay, so BlackBerry's got this little rule of two here. I like the 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years model of integration of brand new gear and software. You jump in a couple of days into the release, it takes you 2 years to get it all sorted. But if you wait 2 years, it's only 2 days of messing around. You wait 2 weeks after the release, and it's 2 months of farting about. Wait 2 months, and it's about 2 weeks of headaches. Oh, I feel like those numbers are starting to shift with like the kind of frenetic pace of development lately. Huh. That sounds really, really neat, Javar. He's saying it supposedly just recognizes, and he's speaking about the new Cubase version that just dropped. It supposedly just recognizes almost any surface now, and you can make your own interfaces with GUIs. And I think they get saved with each instrument or something, but haven't dug into that yet, so I could be wrong. That's really interesting. What is this? Paul just dropped this link. Hmm. I really like the sweep feature of the channels. This music, I'm sorry. A multi-DAW support. Yeah, this heroic music is a bit much for me for this, but this is, it does look pretty cool. One console to save the world. Andremia, how are you today, dude? Stolas is here. How you doing, homie? How's the run for affiliate going? Paintball. I basically spent the last 2 weeks making absolute shite. Well, you know, that's when you got to buckle down and just knock out something quick and easy and rebound. You know, knock out, it doesn't have to be like a track or anything. Like, just have some fun sound design. Like, make some whooshes or some impacts or something and just kind of shake it out and then get back to it. Solid advice, homie. Neo, welcome in. How you doing, man? I used to say that about Midas, but he's been broken 3 times. Man. One console to save your mix. Man. Well. Oh, back from 2 in a rave, huh? Nice. How'd it go? All right, up next is Central, it looks like. Oh. Oh. Man. Drinks getting spilled on your gear. Yeah, that's harsh. That's harsh. All right, we're going to listen to this one from Central. It's been in before, but it is finished now. Tensor Project Central, Sundowning in Blue. Let's check it. Okay, there is so much to love about this thing, and only one thing that bothers me, and that is the amount that the stuff has been squished. It looks like your peaks and valleys do have some pretty decent separation, like in the SoundCloud waveform here. But I think it would feel really cool if you backed off of the expansion of the whole thing, the maximization, by like um, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 dB threshold. What are you using to do your maximization, your mastering stuff? Because it's really the only thing that bugs me about this. There's just a lot of really good things in here, and I love the way that your mind works around these different change ups and transitions, and just the organic nature of the ending, especially. It just leaves you kind of in a state, and yeah, just big ups on this. This is great. Yeah, well, you might want to check on that. And this is a conversation that I have with folks sometimes in regards to loudness, because once you hear your stuff at a certain loudness, it's hard to unhear like the full effect of like the force of it all. But back in the day, I don't want to sound like an old grandpa or anything, but back in the day, we turned the volume up, and it got better, right? When stuff is at this kind of fever pitch loudness point, uh, you don't really get to turn it up and make it better anymore. You turn it up and it kind of hurts, right? Or it's really hard on the system, one or the other. Um, so that's the only thing that I would recommend on this is just bounce out the same exact everything um, at a lower lufs and see how you're feeling about it. I think that you will feel less of an assault on the ears and all of the feels of the music still. Um, and the other thing I would mention is that mastering can be just as dynamic as mixing can be in regards, um, well, not to the same extremes, right? Like it's all relative. But if everything is completely static for the master, then I feel like we kind of fall into these traps where we're applying compression or whatever, even if it's in like a multi-band, like an intelligent approach to it. If we're not changing a bunch of stuff when the music changes drastically, then um, it's just not doing justice to those changes, um, to those differences that you've created in your mix. And it's the differences in your mix, like in loudness and stereo position and all that kind of stuff that really make the whole thing more um, like emotionally impactful, I guess you could say. And this is one of those tracks that takes you on a freaking wild ride. So yeah, that's what I got for you on this one. Big ups, dude. It's a great track. It's kind of an epic thing. It's awesome. BlackBerry. Well, yeah. Yep, exactly. And who hasn't squished their tall clubhouse sandwich a bit so it can fit into their mouth so they can taste all of those layers at the same exact time, right? Yeah. Well, luckily our ear holes are actually it really doesn't matter how big our ear holes are. We can still take a bigger bite. David official, welcome in. Or is this Davey D official? I think I've called you David when you've come in before. My apologies if that is not correct. You can feel free to correct me. Okay, so here's what you do. Here's what you do, Central. When you're feeling like you're losing something, when you're bringing down the luffs, it's actually truly a loss, right? That means that when you bounce it and you're listening to it on a system and you turn it up, it doesn't quite have the same feels anymore, right? It got louder, but you don't have the same to it. Then try to meet it halfway with some saturation, right? Don't forget how powerful the little overdrive trick is, or multiband distortion with really, really simple forms of saturation targeting just a range of frequencies, right? Those kinds of little things can do so much for the feels, you know, that little over the edge, like the stuff that pushes it over the edge. Yeah, don't touch anything in the arrangement though, because this is a good one. This is great. BlackBerry says contrast is key in music, from writing to arranging to sound creation to mixing. Yeah, yeah. David, okay, cool. Take care, BlackBerry. All right. Saf is asking off-topic question. Has anyone tried brick wall limiting bass frequencies before? Sure. Mm-hmm. Let's see who's up next. Hey, Tim, I see you. Oh, Paintball's up next. All right. Let's see what he's bringing. Just a heads up, we're stopping at 12 p.m. Pacific instead of 1 p.m. Today. Got a couple extra meetings. All right, cool. Paintball says something quick and easy I made yesterday with vocals. All right, 808 down a touch, subs down a fair bit. They're a little heavy. And that tag gets me every time. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I think it's just badass. I think this one is a solid one. I think small, subtle embellishments is really all you would need to really fill this one out. And I do think it's worth chasing and finishing. I could definitely hear some lyrics over the top of it. And by small embellishments, I mean just tiny little reversals. And I'd probably bounce this out and chop it, and in a couple of spots, maybe a couple little stutters or stutter into a reversal, and then like a small little like subtle scratch or something in a couple of spots where I like kind of have some fun with it. Do you have a tool like Shaperbox? Because if you do, the time module in that one specifically would be really, really badass in this, because I can hear this kind of interlude segment in this piece here where you just kind of go crazy with remixing it in a few ways. I think that would really kind of push it over the top. I think this one is worth chasing. You can go crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Go crazy then, because this is a pretty solid vibe. I would probably add just a couple of things before I start doing the remixing. And that would just be like a couple small little transition type sounds, but not at the point of transition, right? Just tiny little whoosh kind of sounds, right? Maybe just to end a bar in one spot, and then maybe you've got like a snare hit and you double that, reverse it, right? So you've got like a snare into a hit in one spot. Maybe you give yourself a nice little double tight roll in one spot, just so it doesn't sound quite as loopy in a couple of places, and then run the whole damn thing through Shaperbox, just like in a fun play session, and see what kind of ideas you can start to come up with, and then kind of paste that, boom, like right into this kind of interlude section, right? And I think that people would dig that. Still sounds better than RC20 Vinyl Crackle. Oh, that's funny. Stole says, so I've got a question for the room. I recently heard an orchestral recording and had this remarkable audio illusion where it seemed like one string section was higher in location and placement, not in tone and pitch, higher than a countering section that was on the opposite side. It was almost like the engineer managed to pull off the ability to make something sound vertically higher in the mix as opposed to lower. Anyone have any clues, personal experience in mixing vertically? Yeah, absolutely. In Logic, and it's been this way for quite some time actually, you can right click on any pan pot. By default, they run in balance. You can switch them into a stereo pan or a binaural panner. And then if you just double click on that pan pot, it actually gives you the option to work in either planar or spherical. And then you can manipulate elevation. So it's actually a pretty badass thing, really, working in a spherical realm. And this has been something in Logic for, gosh, it's more than a decade. I know for sure. Been using it for longer than a decade. So I would check if you don't have this kind of functionality in the DAW that you normally use. There are a couple of spatial audio plugins that do work fairly well these days that are accessible, like cost-wise and whatnot, and decent compatibility. Yeah, as Neo's saying, some mid-side can work to really get something out of the center, like the middle. To get the really vertical thing, you can use the binaural and spherical. You can also Atmos, and You can also create audio illusions, like placement illusions, through things like detuned reverb environments. You can use IR samples captured in places with funky configurations. There are some ways. There are some ways. The one that I showed you first, though, is the way that you have like the most control, I think, for the most easily accessible. Yeah, Dear VR also. There's some kind of like weird artifacty kind of things that come with certain plugins. If you're going to go and test out plugins, I would definitely advise getting whatever you can in demo form first. Because people can make their preview tracks, their demo tracks, sound just as great as they'd like to. Just putting that out there. Yeah, 2C audio, yeah. Oh, Stoles. Oh, dude, of course. Of course. You're in Logic, so go have fun, homie. Go have fun. Yeah, it's a bit of a trip, right? I mean, we can give you a little tour of it here. This is just a little ambient ditty, but we can at least make it spin around a bit for you. So if you can imagine, you would put your strings, like you were saying, on one track, and maybe process them in a spot like this. And then on a separate track, maybe the other strings are kind of like this, right? And then of course you've got maybe some big players up here, up front, down low, right in your face, orchestral pit level. And then way back here in the back, in this narrow little sliver of space, is where all the satanic backmasking would be placed, I think. I think that's how that works, right? Backmasking in the back. That's probably what the Dark Lord would want, right? Whoa. Yo! Kakashi, how the hell are you? Welcome in, dude. Stoles. Well, dude, I'm glad that you showed up at just the right time and asked just the right question. They called front masking, that's for sure. Oh, Tim. Dude, brother, welcome in. Yeah, it's a good one, right? Where's the mid-masking guy? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. All right, let's see who's up next. Paintball, have some fun with the remixing of your beat there. That's my favorite part. All right, David's up next. This one is called Fireflies. All right, here we go. Dude, this is a great vibe.
Give me a light, oh, so I can see. Give me a light.
Okay, I like this. It's got a solid, funky vibe to it. The ducking guitars kind of makes it. There's this high vocal synth on the sides that's pumping in your side chain. Might want to put some filtering on them, and only let a hint of that super high stuff out at a time. Like maybe make the pumping match up with the dynamic reveal of those frequencies, so it kind of wisps up to them. Or you could even trill it, like put a little LFO or tremolo on it, right? So some of those high notes are actually like wavering or straight up like choppy. I think it would be something fun to kind of play with over time. There's this, it's not necessarily like a hidden element, but it's this element that's kind of tucked back, but it has a fairly profound impact on the entirety of the mix. And if something was different about it every time or every other time or something like that, it's absolutely akin to putting in that one clap in your song in that one oddly timed spot that people always try to get or whatever, right? They'll tune into it, and it's like a little side quest. I would also, around 133 or so, I'd pick one sound. I kind of like the ARP for this personally, because you're finishing with the ARP, and this would put the change on display front and center. But anyway, pick a sound around 133 and slowly evolve it for the remainder of the track. Whether that be EQing out some of the frequencies or adding some saturation, or maybe you're slowly bringing in delay that it eventually gets drenched in as it outros or whatever. Pick something and have some fun with it, like make it fun. And I think that would be a really cool way to kind of put a string in this thing, right? You hear me talk sometimes about like there needs to be something that runs through a piece of music sometimes to kind of tie it together, or to give the listener something that they can focus on that isn't just the good vibes of the track. I think there's some mixed stuff in here. I think that you could pay attention to the lowest frequencies in each one of your elements with an EQ, and make sure you're not including too many frequencies down low that don't actually need to be there. And what that's going to do is free up a lot of extra energy in your track. It's going to make your bass sound a lot more grounded and solid. And it's going to make the sides more open. And you're just going to hear each element in your mix a little bit better. That's really it. The only other thing that I would mention is keep an eye on your threshold parameter of your compressor. Okay, because it does sound at times like there are sounds that are getting chopped maybe just a little bit more than they need to be. And remember that compression is really there just to kind of tame the peaks. That's really the true job of a compressor, is to just be Johnny on the spot and play volume jockey, right? Like each time there's a peak that's a little too high, jumps in and says, I got that, boom, got that, boss, right? That's it. The whole loudness thing through compression, you know, volume ducking through compression, those are all effects kinds of things. So just don't lose sight of that, and make sure that you're not setting your threshold too low on things so they still sound really kind of lively up top. That's it. I think that's what I got for you. It's a good vibe. It's a good vibe. It's funky. Who else has got stuff to say about this track here? Yeah, exactly. Kakashi is saying, I love all the playing with amplitude in this. It really gives it some nice energy. Yeah, this is, yeah, there's a lot of movement and this pumping excitement. It's good. It's good. Ultraviolet, welcome in. How are you? Happy Friday. Gonch, Gonch Z, welcome in. Ultraviolet, we're doing pretty well. It's Feedback Friday. It's always a good day. Yeah, you bet, David. And thank you for sharing the tune. Up next, the Merits sliding in. Dude, I thought you said you were still working on a track. All right, Zamerits is about to treat us to something. This one's called Space Invaders. I freaking love this image. This is great, man. You've got like a real feeling of restraint in this one. There's so much room to build on here, and you haven't, and it's awesome. I think the ARP could probably move up and down just a little bit more presence-wise, like amplitude-wise. Just so there's like maybe a little bit more dynamic exchange between those different elements. Lots of cool little things, man. Just you being you again. I feel like this is a really cool palette. Much more like classic and retro unified kind of feel. And I'm digging the Space Invaders face. I keep staring at it. In regards to some creative stuff, maybe some detuning, some long form detuning where things like can't become kind of unstable in a point with the ARP or something, or it'd be kind of cool just to hear a little bit of what's the right word? Instability in this, and maybe some dialogue samples. I don't know. It's definitely got that vibe to it. Another solid one, homie. Another solid one. What's the synth you're using on this one? Oh, fragments. You just said. Start using arterial fragment. Oh no, that's the granular one. What synth are you using? Roku's here. Welcome in, Roku. Rest in peace, the old FM7. Our art movement's always a great idea, right? Yeah, if there isn't like a dialogue sample or something like that, I could also hear, this would take it in a different direction though, but like sonically there's absolutely room for like interesting Foley type stuff. Like paper would be kind of interesting. I don't know. That might just rub against the whole retro angle a little bit in the wrong direction though. I don't know. There's definitely space for stuff up top. Yeah, Kakashi, right? It's the inspiration factor. When people are inspired by what they're hearing, absolutely. You put an FX stab through fragments. Yeah, you feel that too. Maybe something really thin, like some paper, like some folding and sliding, and maybe even like curling, or I'm not sure if crunching would be too much, but like some, just like some. They wouldn't have to be too upfront, but I could definitely. It would definitely be a feel fit for the type of stuff that you usually turn out. So. All right, homie, on to the next. Thank you so much. Next one up is Tim. Tim's on the other side of the world. It's late. It says, this is quite an old track of mine, but I've been recently going back and reworking some stuff. Would love some feedback on this. All right, this one's called Don't Look Back. This right here. This is absolutely a track to dig back into. I love that squirrely kick. It's got a really it's got a heavy Trent influence. Like there's a lot of Trent Reznor running through this one. I'm going to refer you back to our conversations about saturation and about using distortion and saturation in ways to shape your sound instead of a lot of compression. And also EQ work. There's at least three different pretty big influential forces in this track that are very, very sub heavy, like they're very down there in the register. So what I would do is I would go through each one of those and I would take a look at the low end and see at what point you need the subs in that layer and what point you do not. So just because you make a setting with your EQ doesn't mean that it needs to stay there. You can write automation inside of your parameters the same exact way you can for volume, right? Obviously. So get in there and start making some mixing choices of when you're keeping the lows in that layer and when they're not all there. Some of it's cut, some of it's just attenuated with a shelf, but you're removing as much conflict as you possibly can for those. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you one hero down low in each one of those spots where you want each one of those things to shine, and it's going to allow the character of each one of those to really be forward in the way that you need it to be, so it can be heard on a bunch of different systems. Okay, this is obviously highly cinematic. Like you want this to end up in a project somewhere, and if someone's watching this on a TV that doesn't have great speakers, you want them to be able to hear this still, right? That's the other thing that the saturation is going to do for you. It's going to create the harmonics further up in the frequency spectrum to help our ears latch onto it better. Other than that, I would say, and this has probably helped with wrangling in the EQs and stuff, but there's a couple of higher end elements in here. There's one right around here, right there. That little squelch. Those kinds of things can absolutely be highlighted through some saturation as well. So I would probably take your drums and put a little overdrive on them. Maybe just like a dB, 1.5 dB drive, target like 10K, so you get some crunchy stuff up top. But don't really increase the loudness too much. It's just going to be the fullness of the sound. And then something similar for that little squelch synth too. There's a couple little tickly little sounds in there too that you could do the same thing to. Otherwise, this is freaking solid. And it's a good feel. It's a good feel all the way around. Whiskey! Whiskey! Yeah, Seth is saying I like the sustained drums. Neo says, no offense, but every time I hear something like this, I think of Mick Gordon's work on Doom. It was obviously influential for you. It's stuck, huh? Kakashi says, someone's about to get their their head bit off by an alien. Ooh, Zameritz, high compliment, says, reminds me of Earth Intruders, Bjork. Man. Hey, how's Damien? He did a stream the other day, right? How is he? I need to catch up with him. I would say this sounds better than Resident Evil and Silent Hill vibes, though. I feel you, Saf, on what you're feeling, but I think this one actually sounds a bit better. We got 10 more. I'm going to go ahead and close the queue right now. Everyone who's in is in. Because we're going to stop feedback at 5 p.m. or at 12 p.m. Pacific. So, and that's like 40 minutes from now. So we're going to listen to all of these and give everybody a fair amount of time with their feedback here. Prost, whiskey. Prost. Yeah, yeah. I like your style, Kakashi. You could even distort it over time to help it transition with intensity near the end. Absolutely. Oh, Damien's streaming right now. Well, shoot. When we get done, we'll go raid him. We'll say hi. That'll be fun. Oh, that's awesome. Tim, you are welcome for the feedback. I hope it vibes with you and helps you make it even better. All right, this next one is from Isa. Isa? Is it Isa or Isa? I had a friend named Isa with 2 S's. And this one's called Wei Wei, Wee Wee. And away we go. Wait a minute. This is on Vivo. Can anybody tell me? Someone click on this and tell me if there's a DMCA waiting to happen here. Oh, beat battle. Brilliant. Oh, he'll definitely still be going then if you just started at 11. We'll slide in when people are starting to really get going. Can someone click on this Vivo link here? And anything that's on Vivo, I'm kind of assuming that it's under copyright. If it is, fear not, we can still provide feedback outside of the stream. Whiskey. Beat battle, you say? Sir, you've never been down for a beat battle before, have you? Okay, so until I can get some clarity on Isa's track here, we'll come back to this if it's clear, or we'll do some feedback outside the stream. Awesome, Tim. All right, let's move on to Voxmans. And if someone checks out Isa's and says that it's awesome, then we'll do it. All right, this one is The King in Yellow, Neurodivergent.
Myself wanting the truth got me down.
Okay, so as someone, that it was at a very influential age when Al Jorgensen and Trent Reznor and all these guys were first getting going. I appreciate this, homie. I think you should go in here and clean up the bass and the subs. I bring the subs down a bit, wrangle them in. Check the low end on everything. Check the high end on everything in an EQ. Volume mix this bad boy so it feels a bit more contained because it's a little rangy in loudness, like it's a little over the top in a few places. I would set your vocal as the main hero of this one, obviously, a la Trent, and bring everything else up around it. And I would go back if I were you, and I would listen to some pretty Hate Machine and maybe some 12-inch singles, like early Ministry, and just kind of get a gauge of the volume levels of the vocals versus the volume levels of the instruments. And I think that once you kind of have them in that kind of a realm, and you're close here, that it's going to click in. But first, make sure that every sound is kind of in its own lane, and that you can separate things in both volume and stereo space, right? And the only thing that needs to stay in the center on this is your bass and kick and vocal. And you can have a fair play with everything else. I think you're really close to having a good spot for everything. Just kind of contain everything just a little bit more. And this is fun. It's a good scream too. Yeah. Yeah, Front True 42 is a great reference. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Saf. Kakashi, thank you, dude. Seriously. You're always bringing in interesting stuff, and I dig it. And I can hear improvements too. UV up next. This one is called Morning Coffee. Oh, look at this. Little matcha tea sticks here. Yum. It's a nice picture. Fantastic. I love this ultraviolet. It's exactly what I wanted to hear after seeing this image here. It's such a great chill vibe. Really organic on the mallets. They feel very just true to life performance wise. I think your pulse keys on the sides, they can come down a couple of dB, maybe even as much as like 4 dB. And let them play the part of just support. Like they are just support staff in this whole thing. They're just there, keeping a beat, and that's it. They do feel a little bit more in line with the overall mix when they go down in the register a bit, but I do believe, and velocity a little bit, but I think that overall they should just come down. You could try keeping them at the same level, but bringing the velocity way down on most. But I think that they feel nice, like in how they're actually presenting. It's just bring them down a bit. And I think 2 minutes, 15 seconds, this is a really good example of this, but more dynamic volume changes with your instrumentation changes, right? So as different elements in the track start to take the lead or move or be introduced or whatever, make the volume help all of that through volume, right? Think about, I use this analogy a lot, but I'm going to use it again. Imagine all of these people playing instruments on stage and jamming on this track. And what happens when it's time for the strings to shine, right? Everybody kind of dials down their stuff and they stay and they kind of lean back, right? And if someone is soloing that isn't in chairs, right, they step up and they turn up their volume or whatever. So just kind of find a way to provide that experience in your mix. You can make small pan changes. You can make small volume changes. Sometimes you can roll just a little bit off with a filter or something to take some highs off if the thing you're wanting to highlight isn't supposed to be very loud in the mix, but it's kind of high in nature. So there's some little things that you can do to kind of massage attention getting, if you will. Spotlight moments for your elements. This barista approves, says Whiskey. Ultra, oh, this is a sample. Okay, the mallets are, well, they sound great. Stolace loves this vibe. Oh, dude, a nice horn line. Yeah, absolutely. I was personally hearing like some Thera memory on this thing, man, or like some, I mean, even some Chet or something. Like I can hear that style. Mm-hmm. Zamerits, you can't cheat on either Damien or I by watching either of us while watching the other one. It's just not possible. It's just a weird little incestuous soup situation we've got with Twitch here. I'm not sure that there's any cheating. The nerve! All right, up next is Gaunch, or Gaunch C. Ooh, Creep Show, Season 3. All right, this one is called All of Us 990. Ultraviolet, thank you. Hope the feedback helps, Ohmy. Thank you for pleasing our ear holes. Poggers. All right. This is solid track. This is solid track. That 808 slaps. I think it's a bit hot in the mix because it's burying the vocals a bit. There's a couple of things that you can do to help that, besides just bringing them down. But you do need to bring them down just a little bit, or else this whole thing doesn't sound very good once it's mastered. Okay, so bring down the 808s. I would bring the vocals up just a bit, but before you actually touch the volume on that track, add some overdrive on the vocals, and I'm talking like just super basic overdrive. And I would personally add probably about 1.25 to 1.5 dB in drive. So it's not going to add any distortion. There's no distortion involved here. And I would probably target somewhere between like 5K and 8K, 7K, somewhere in there. Maybe like 7.5 is your sweet spot. Your difference in output is like you're going to perceive the difference as being rather drastic, and it should move the vocals up on top of your mix when you do something like that. Here's the couple things that you have to do though. You got to take out the low end on anything that's bumping into the sub range that shouldn't be, like that is not necessary. Cut those out. So any of those small embellishments, those little synths or whatever on the sides, just make sure that you've EQ'd out a bunch of the lows. When it comes to your 808, make sure that you EQ out some of the subs there. I know this seems a little different because you want to keep the subs, but you got to do this. Cut it 36 dB per octave. It's not a drastic cut. Do it just under 30 hertz somewhere. My sweet spot is usually somewhere between like 24 and 27 hertz on this style of 808, and it will have a noticeable amount of thrust added to that 808. It's what helps give it the punch effect. And then you want to take a little bit out of the mids on that 808, and that's going to create some room for the vocals to sit in that same kind of space. When you add the overdrive on those vocals, it's going to generate extra harmonics up here. So your vocals are going to be kind of down here, and they're going to get a little bit more power up here and a little bit more thickness right around here when you add that overdrive. And that's going to help the whole vocal track sit up on top a bit more. Other than that, what else do I have for you? Oh, and just make sure that there's nothing else in the center of your mix except for your 808 bass and vocal. And try ducking your bass when your 808 hits. That's it. That's it. You've got a pretty solid track. It's really just the loudness balance of these two main characters in your mix. It's the 808 and the vocals. And as soon as you get those two guys in better balance, the whole thing will snap into a good place. And Whiskey says, I would love a dry channel and some sprinkled stereo effects on the vocal, and I would agree with that. Becky's here. Hey, hey, what's up? Hope you're well. Happy Friday to you. I would agree with Whiskey here and the on the auxiliary processing channel for the vocals, just to get a bit more width. And yeah, you can play like it. I definitely don't want to give feedback that takes you in a totally different direction creatively with all of your stuff. You're obviously working in one very specific direction, but you do have space sonically. You do have space for little things like delay tails, or there's space for you to play with those vocals for sure. Cody Modi, what's up? Loving the emotes, homie. I like that little mushroom, dude. Cutie. Whiskey says a small mid boost and a touch of fresh air would do wonders on the vocal. Yeah. I think that start with some saturation to help bring up the whole thing in general. Your ears will start to guide you, because right now you're listening to it and you're probably thinking like, okay, this is pretty all right. It just doesn't feel like it's really hitting yet. And it's hard to put words to these things, but once something starts to get close, You've obviously brought this far. When it's really close, you're going to figure out exactly where that puzzle piece goes. You know what I mean? Thrust. Whiskey. Yes, yes, yes. Thrust. Whiskey says, my kick gets lost in the mix, FYI. Haven't boosted it yet. You bet. You are welcome, dude. I hope that the feedback resonates with you and helps you make it even better. Becky, I'm doing all right. It's, yeah, Becky, for you, it is still open. I just have to boogie at, oh, whoa, it's almost noon? You guys, holy crap. Yes, Becky, toss it in there. We're going to burn through these last three. We have just enough time because I have to bounce at noon. I've got a meeting that starts at noon, and I want to raid over into Damien's stream because he hasn't been on at all lately, and I'd like to see him for 30 seconds. So anyway, that's what I got for you. Whiskey, you are up next. This one's called Space Weed. Whiskey and Stingwave, V8. Ooh.
Refoculated, land on Juniper.
Yo, what up, Andrew? Welcome in. Happy Friday to you, homie. He shoots. He scores. Whiskey. It's another Friday with whiskey. Dub tactic. Oh, dude, that's actually better than dubtastic. Is it? Dubtactic? Dubtastic? I meant dubtastic, but I really like dubtactic. Maybe that's just a new phrase being coined, I see. Andrew Jack the Gay Baguette, this is Whiskey. Let us introduce you. He does some special things with sound and stuff. Dude, give your kick the whiskey sauce treatment and let this thing roll out the door. This is awesome. This is great. I mean, there's a few things that I can hear in the mix here and there, a little bit of EQ. I'm loving like the heavy dub vibe in this one. It's just good. It's just good. Was a proper aluminum helmet worn during the production of this? I mean, it's no Boston House, but it certainly does hit. All right, up next, and before we get to this one, again, we're going to bounce at 12, so these will be quick. If you're currently subscribed to the channel, I did post the new free sound pack of the month for all subscribers. You can find it over on the Discord subscriber rewards channel. Hit that. If you don't have access to it currently, please link your Discord and your Twitch accounts, and boom, you will be in. Whatever you're inspired to make, come back and submit it in this month's challenge, and you will get another free sound pack and probably, I don't know, at least 2 extra lives. Maybe a mountain of cash. We'll see what else. All right. Next up is Lubo.
Escape museums. Yeah.
This is good. This is it's a fun and fresh kind of vibe. There's some interesting choices that you make that are unexpected, which keeps it really fresh, which is cool. And some really like kind of understated moves and vibes. I like it. I like the restraint being felt throughout it. The snare, there's a couple of synths. If you listen back with honest ears, you'll hear that they're a few to several dB louder than everything else. And when they do pop up, it's just kind of jarring. If they are going to pop up like that and you want them to really stand out, maybe just process them a little bit differently instead of leaning into the loudness for that. I think the constant play with the envelopes is really fun. And it's like this exploration of sorts, like, okay, what else can happen with these drums and that attack? Those sweeps, those kind of low end quick sweeps are sick. It's great. It's a really awesome juxtaposition. Yeah, just some really cool choices being made. I think those outlier sounds that I mentioned. Kwame, I love you, homie. You know I do. I've closed the queue because I gotta jump into a meeting in 6 minutes. So we're gonna listen to Becky's really quick, and we can circle back and hit you on Monday or outside the stream or something. But I do love you. Go back, do a fresh volume mix on the whole thing, wrangle it in, double check all of your EQ, and you make sure that you remove any low end and mid range conflicts, right? So anything that's popping off at the same exact time, focused in the same frequencies, move them to different pan positions, do what you can to create more separation, and then hit play and see how much better it sounds. Those are the things that I think will help it the best. Kwame, normally we go until 1, so it's not your bad, man. I just changed it on you. That's all there is to it. All right, Becky, you are up next. Can I say I like that flute? Oh, nice. Nice finish. Give the people a little bit of time to realize what they've just experienced before you walk off. That's awesome. The bass in there, it feels like it's not quite complete yet. There's all of this kind of like action pushing the stuff forward, and the bass is fairly steady. So maybe something that could give it just like a little bit of, just a little. I said swirling, but more maybe like a pulsing, maybe just something just to kind of lock it in with the rest of that. I love this. I love this vibe. I love that flute. The neutron stuff that you ended up with was good. And I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but like I said, I got a boogie. So 256, something to push that transition over the edge, double up on a second rhythmic riser, toss in a suck back and maybe a hit, like maybe an impact. It doesn't have to be over the top like Hollywood Explosion, but maybe like a sub impact or suck back into a dialogue sample that just hits, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like an impact, just something with impact. As long as it's not a cheesy dialogue sample, I bet you could find something that would work in there. Anyway, I really, really love the great vibe. Love all the neutron stuff. I think it's really solid. I do want more low-end polish on this one personally. Maybe it's just my Boston house roots, but I love the low end in tracks like this, and some simple saturation to finish the whole thing and glue it a bit. Perhaps some tube for some warmth. Keep those highs really nice. Maybe a little bit of mid-range accenting from that saturation as well. I really like the use of the stereo space. Dig the palette you built. It's good. It's good. It's got a cool mashup vibe too. It's got like little hints of jungle and grime. There's like the undeniable acid presence. You've got this thing going on. I shouldn't be jamming these different words together. What I should say is something like, this is Becky being Becky again, the same way I say this is Zamerits being Zamerits again, or whiskey being whiskey again. Shouldn't try to like put you into these other categories and compare you. Thank you, Becky. It's good to see you. I'm staring at your picture right now. It's good to see you. Hope you're still liking the new pad. Your tunes are sounding great. Yeah, exactly. Give them time to roll up that next joint. Exactly. I'm going to keep talking to you while I do this, but I'm going to go over to my browser here, and then I'm going to click over here and see who's up. Damien should still be up. Yay! Damien is still here. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm sorry I have to cut it an hour short today, but I am stoked that we do at least get to go raid Damien. So enjoy the beat battle over there. I appreciate you all. Have fun with the new sound pack. Liquid Air is the free sample pack this month. Play with it over the weekend. I hope you find good inspiration in there. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there to play with. And I will see all of you on Monday on the flip, and we will make our brains bigger together. Big ups to everyone who submitted today, and thank you, and I'll see you on the flip. Peace out.